So earlier today, I posted a video giving my thoughts and views on the Fox News article and the story that Nancy Grace had done on Bryan Kohberger titled I Am. And I have received comments on it. And while I was watching my football game, I came across this little dinger from Miss Linda. And I figured I would address it a little bit. Now, I'm not like a lot of the people on this particular platform and other individuals who put information out there where they see something that even slightly disagrees with what they say, they get offended and turn away from it or ignore it altogether. In fact, if you go to that comment, you'll see I made the reply, well, have you seen anything official? I heard about that too, but I didn't know WSU put out an official statement on it. So I did some digging myself. And I figured we'd talk about it real quick. And if an open conversation is something you prefer, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the point. So let's talk about it. So yes, everything that I found, as always, will be linked down in the description below. And of course, as I said in that introduction, I'm not attacking this nice woman whatsoever, even if she slightly disagreed. As far as I'm concerned, if you can't discuss things and discuss different points of views, then you're never going to learn to begin with. So yes, we do know for a fact, WSU put out an official statement on December 30th when Bryan Kohberger was announced as being detained. And yes, they go on to say that they were working with authorities because he had an on-campus home and an on-campus office. They were being compliant and assisting in any way possible. And of course, we know that they gave him a no trespass until all these charges were cleared up. And much like Miss Linda said, there were some people who allegedly came out and said that he had been fired from his job because of misogynistic behavior, aggressive behavior towards females. And I had heard it too. Now, I didn't initially focus on that because I always consider that just hearsay and not really from an official source. But of course, the comment that I had received earlier today made me wonder, did I miss something or was I wrong? Because I'm not going to presume to be the expert on Bryan Kohberger or anybody in Idaho, the judicial system, or nothing like that. So I did some diving and I found a couple articles. So yeah, let's talk about this one here from The Independent, released on the 9th of February. It would go on to say in that article that yes, Bryan Kohberger worked at WSU as a teaching assistant and that he had gotten that job in the fall semester and had worked there with an office and lived in on-campus housing. And he would be terminated for multiple incidences involving females and misogynistic behavior and aggressive behavior. So yes, we all read that too. But if you scroll down and read a little bit lower in that article, there is no official statement from WSU to The Independent. So this could very well be, once again, a situation where Bryan Kohberger was arrested, and he was arrested, and a whole bunch of people are coming out of the woodwork to make statements that are negative and reflect negative so they can get their 5 minutes of fame. That very well may be a possibility that we all have to understand. And then as I kept going through these articles, I kept getting different stories. Like this one right here, for example, from Fox News. It essentially says that yes, Bryan Kohberger did work at the campus as a teaching assistant, that he got his job there for the fall semester of 2022 like a lot of those PhD students do. And it would also say that yes, he was terminated. But here's the kicker with that. So on December 19th, around that time when he was terminated from the school, we know he was terminated from the school. Everybody can agree with that. That is documented. It goes on to say that due to family educational rights and privacy policy, WSU cannot disclose the reason he was terminated. So really now, we're in one of those I report, you decide scenarios. Which one are we going to believe? So yes, you can choose to believe the story that The Independent put out. You can say, okay, that's a credible news agency and everything they say is factual, or at least mostly factual, or at the very least, they do a portion of their due diligence before they put out an article. And you can also say, okay, the Independent is fishing for a story. They're fishing for views like every other major news media or internet news site, and even on YouTube. So you have to kind of take these statements where he was fired for a particular reason with a grain of salt. Because so far, what I was able to find is that he was terminated. We agree with that. But the reasons he was terminated cannot be disclosed. So it could be for any reason whatsoever. We don't know. Maybe it was because he had misogynistic behavior. Or maybe it's because he had a way of communicating that made other people feel uncomfortable. And given how our higher educational institutions are right now, it is completely believable that he held no ill will towards anyone. But just how he was delivering his message made people upset. And since he was a student and a teaching assistant, he had no tenure, he had no leg to stand on, and if there were enough people who had complaints against him, the next logical step would be to remove him from that environment. Schools do it all the time. Businesses do it all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was a misogynist, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't. So as I was doing that story, my initial view isn't going to necessarily change. Yes, we know he was fired. There has been plenty of official statements from the university that he was terminated. But the reasons why have not been disclosed. So while I do respect her opinion, it made me look into some things. It made me reread some things. I've still got to maintain the point of view that I don't know. And I don't believe anybody can know until somebody can get an official statement from WSU and maybe send me the link or post a link down in the comments below. Like I say, I don't want to attack her for leaving that comment. I appreciate the comment. In fact, I appreciate all my comments. This particular channel was meant to be a channel for open discussion and open conversation, where anybody's viewpoint on a particular subject can be stated without anybody jumping all over their throats. And for the most part, everybody on all these videos has been respectful. And I appreciate that. We don't know enough about this individual. We don't know a whole lot about the victims other than what is being reported from the family who knew them, and we have these occasional statements from friends. And in this particular scenario that the Fox article was citing about the story I Am, it happens to be a middle school friend. So you can take it with a grain of salt. I would like to think and like to believe that most of us from the time we're in middle school till the time we graduate college, or within that range, we have changed and grew up and altered our thought process. That's just my thinking. So is he like this? I still don't know. I guess it really depends on what type of light you want to paint this picture with. Those who say he's guilty will probably assume that he is misogynistic. Those who say he's innocent will probably say this is all completely a fabricated story. And the rest of us will just sit here in the middle, try to find as many facts as we can to make our own decision. But really, that's what I have. I appreciate all the feedback. I saw this comment. I wanted to talk about it for a minute. I'm not going to hold y'all up. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. Y'all stay safe and have a good one.